Hello, this is Samuel Guy in Hawaii, and this is a look at Millennia's custom game options with an eye towards making things easier for the novice. There are Forex strategy pros out there who start on the default difficulty and then quickly ramp up to the hardest game difficulty after a few games. Most of us, however, aren't like that. I have thousands of hours in various Forex games, especially Civilization offerings, and I'm pretty good at them. But it takes me a while to really learn a game to where I can handle the default starting difficulty without struggling. That's the kind of player this video is aimed at. Now, some of the features will also change or expand with future updates and expansions. The first expansion in particular, which will allow players to run around and settle their first city/region. For now, though, when we start a new game, we can choose the default quick start or a custom game. The default setup is 8 players on a continent map of medium size. All opposing player difficulties are set to a depth, the middle ground as it were, and all player identities, including the human player, are randomly chosen. Each nation also has a default starting bonus. In a custom game, as we can see, all of these things are customizable. If we, however, choose custom game but don't change any of these settings, the only difference between this and a quick start is that we get to see our opponents and their starting bonuses before we start. And even that fog of war is short-lived, since the game currently shows us our opponents in the upper left as each takes their turn after us. So the first most obvious way to make life easier on ourselves is to change the opposing player difficulty setting. Per the Paradox Millennia Wiki, these are the AI difficulty player adjustments for the 5 difficulty levels from Novice to Grandmaster. Notice that Adept is not an even playing field. The AI players already start with more, although AI players rarely operate on the same intuitive level as an actual human, so maybe just as well. Even on Apprentice, the AI players get a slight boost to, well, whatever this is. This is one of the things I think Millennia does very well. With most Forex strategy games, difficulty is a global buff that boosts the abilities and starting resources of all opposing players. I like that we can separately vary the difficulty of each AI opponent. In any case, one way to make our life easier while we learn the game is, and its mechanics, is to lower the AI difficulty. Start with making opponents novice or apprentice. As we gain experience, start challenging 1, then maybe 2 or more opponents to adept, work our way up to higher difficulties. I would also suggest starting with fewer total players and smaller maps. Except for my first disastrous game, I've been playing with 4 total players on a small map, vice the default 8 on a medium map. I'd also suggest sticking with continents or inland seas for a while. 4 on a small continents map means we usually only have 1 other nation to worry about for a while. Inland seas just means more lakes to get around, but can make for some interesting strategic setups. Conversely, Pangea forces everyone together much earlier, and Islands requires a good understanding of the tech tree and water-based units and strategies. Okay. Now let's focus on individual nations and starting bonuses. By default, each listed nation has its own starting bonus. Whether we choose which nations to face or set 1 or more at random, anytime we leave it to the computer to pick our opponents and our own nation for that matter, each nation will have its default starting bonus. However, we can actually change any of these almost any way we want. We can give nations a starting bonus different from their default bonus. We can give every nation the same bonus. We can't duplicate national identities, but we can, of course, assign whatever starting bonus we want to ourselves, and even if we let the computer randomly pick our actual nation's identity. Okay. We can also set a nation's identity to random, but specify the starting bonus. The program will still pick each national identity randomly, but assign them the bonus we specify. If we want to give everyone else discounted pioneers, which won't be very useful off the bat, we can do that. Additionally, at launch, the game comes with 21 different starting bonuses, but only 18 different national identities. Starting with an archer unit, a scout cavalry unit, or an additional innovation per turn, are not assigned by default to any nation. Feel free to assign any of those to yourself or any other nation as you see fit. Okay. Those are all the obvious starting options that we can manipulate to make our game easier or harder eventually. But there's also one other factor we can choose that's not obvious. The individual national identities each have their own personality, and this does affect how they play. Each nation on the Paradox Millennia Wiki page on nations has, per this column, an AI personality. These govern how each nation tends to act in any given situation. It's not hard and fast. Other factors come into play, but I can tell you after about 2 dozen games that it does have an effect. Now, the game does reveal this to us, but only after we meet a nation. You click on the Diplomacy tab and then a specific nation, and the personality is revealed right up there next to the difficulty setting. There are, as of this post, 8 different AI personalities, and again, as of this post, these can't be changed. So national identity is not just a name, a flag, and a border color. If we want an easier game with, say, less military confrontation, I would stay away from militant and aggressive nations and maybe lean towards diplomatic and cooperative ones. And that's it. An overview of customizable starting conditions and how we might use them to make the game easier or harder. If you like this kind of content and would like to see more, be sure to like, comment, and even subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing more anyway. Stay safe, and thanks for watching.